Hey everyone, today I'm going to give you a rundown of my worship pedal board and how I use some of these as tools when I play, and give some sound samples and demos of how it all works together. Starting out with my guitars, my number one for the past 4 or 5 years has been this Fano Alt Facto GF6. It's a beautiful guitar and it sounds and plays well, and it has 2 TB Jones Powertrons as pickups. I love that guitar and I've never wanted to pick up anything else, but recently I traded one of my acoustics for this Fender Custom 60s Telecaster at a local shop. I just love the way it looks and the binding, and it plays really well as well. It has cavalier pickups in it, which I'll probably change out soon, but it offers such a different taste and feel than the Fano. I'm enjoying having it around as a second guitar. On to the little miscellaneous stuff. I'm using the G7 Art capos. I have a few Dunlop slides that I switch between, and for picks, I'm using the Snarling Dogs 1.14 millimeter, and I'm picking with the coarse side when I play. Onto my pedal board, I'm using the Creation Music Company 24x16 Aero Series flatboard in a Brady Cases live-in case. And for power, everything is powered with 3 Strymon O-highs that are chained together underneath the board. Never had any audio or power issues from those. And I wired the board with SP400 square plugs and Mogami 2314 cable, and then some XS, MIDI, and TRS cables as well. For amps, I'm using the HX Stomp as my modeler. At the very end of the chain, I'm using the Matchman preset by my buddy Jake Faber. Go give him a shout on Instagram. He has some amazing content for a worship guitarist and is such an amazing resource. And needless to say, his presets are free on his profile as well, so you definitely should go snatch those. Onto my signal chain, I go straight into the Jackson Audio Bloom compressor, and I love this compressor for many reasons. I love the different compression modes it has, and use the Joey Landreth mode, especially when I'm playing slide guitar parts. And I love the bloom and ease of access right above the volume pedal that I have to it. Just when I'm trying to stick out in the mix, I'll use that to give a little more into my overdrives to hit the amps harder. This is what the compressor sounds like. So you can hear it tightens up the tone a little bit and gives a little boost. It's always on for me, and sometimes I'll use the EQ when I'm switching between guitars. From there, I go into the Prickly Pear preamp by Tone Ranger Audio. This pedal is a clone of the SDD 3000 preamps, and it's an always-on pedal for me and adds amazing color to the tone. So check out Ethan at Tone Ranger Audio on Instagram. He's a newer builder, but has such creative builds and does some pretty cool mods to pedals as well. And this is what that sounds like. From there, I go into the RJM PBC6x. I've used a lot of RJM MIDI controllers along the way in different builds, and I love their stuff. And this is the powerhouse of my board. It controls everything on it, and I'll hit on that a little later. But the first loop, I have the Nano POG, and I had the POG 2 on my board for a few years, but just prefer having the knobs at my feet to tweak on the fly for parts that call for it. It's very rare that I'll use octave anymore, just because the high end sounds so artificial. And this is what I mean by that. You can hear. It starts to scream a little bit and just doesn't sound good. So like I said, I'll only use the Nano POG really for parts that call for it. And sometimes the sub octave just to thicken up lead parts. From the POG, I go into the Benson Preamp as my first stage overdrive. This is such a great overdrive. It is a incredible first stage and foundation for my gain section. It can get pretty beefy, so I'm constantly messing with the bass and treble so it sits well in the mix, but it just sounds great. From there, I go into the Shnobel Tone Daily Driver, and this is one of my favorite overdrives. It is so versatile in the 3 clipping modes and how the knobs all react in those different modes. And it stacks incredibly well with anything that comes before and after it. So here's what that sounds like. My third stage drive is the JHS Kilt. Right now, this spot is always revolving on the board just to try new things and see what fits best. So now I'll give some context as to how these sound in a worship setting. So yeah, there's my gain section. From there, I go into the Dunlop DVP3, and I've had this volume pedal for 5 or 6 years and never had any issues. I love how it feels and just how it's reliable. After the volume pedal, I start my wet effects. My first wet effect is the GFI Synesthesia, my modulation engine, and I love this pedal. I use modulation in pretty much every set that I play and just love the presets that it has. I have 4 banks of presets that I have created, and I'll kind of go through those a little bit. So yeah, that's the Synesthesia. It sounds amazing, and I'm constantly tweaking and making new modulation effects that sound amazing. I just love that everything is in one pedal as opposed to having a chorus and vibrato pedal or having knobs that I have to tweak on the fly. I love having the presets. From there, I go stereo into the El Capistan V2. I just got this delay. I used the Deluxe Memory Man for a few years and then just wanted something stereo, and this is somewhat always on. I use it as a dotted eighth into an eighth note just for that ping pong effect. Sometimes we'll use it on its own and sometimes won't use it. So this is what that sounds like. From there, I go into the Strymon Timeline. Like I said, I use these two in conjunction. The Timeline is pretty much always set at a digital eighth note. I don't really fluctuate from what I have. I use the Mastermind to send tempos to both of these to get them in sync. I don't do song-specific presets, mainly just because I like a consistent tone and don't like having to bank up and down. And so I use the PBC just to sync my tempos, and will change the knobs when needed. So this is what they sound like in conjunction. From there, I go into the Strymon Big Sky, and this is the pedal that I use the most on the board. I'm constantly banking up and down on the presets that I have just to make sure I sit well in a mix and I'm not too washed out. The first level of reverb I have is perfect for rhythm sounds, and this is what that sounds like. My second preset is just an increase of mix on that for little lead parts, and this is what that sounds like. And then this is for big lead parts or for swells, and this is what that sounds like. This next preset is the heaviest reverb I have. I use this all the time on nearly every song and every set. I'll use it for pad moments, for down moments, for in between. I'll use it with the tone rolled off on my guitar for a pad sound, and then if we're getting big or building or something like that, I'll roll the tone up and you can hear it get brighter and bigger. So this is what that sounds like. And I use this setting on the Brandon Lake Tear Off the Roof tutorial that I just put out, and I'll show you what that sounds like. So that's the Big Sky. That's how I use it for my workflow. I pretty much am only using those 4 presets. And you can see in my previous videos of me switching through those and how I use those in a song or a worship setting. Like I said at the beginning, I'm using the HX Stomp for my amps, using the Matchman preset. And so yeah, that is my pedal board. I'm sure I missed something, so if you have any questions, feel free to comment and I will gladly answer. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.